Not a single one of my sons came to my 60th birthday. Instead, they threw a housewarming party in the apartment I had given them as a gift. But after I sent them a short message, 30 minutes later they were all standing at my door with flowers. 6 o'clock in the morning. I didn't need the alarm clock. I woke up long before it went off. Today, I turned 60. I used to think that at this age I'd feel like an old woman, but now, lying in bed and listening to the birds chirping outside the window, I feel a strange sense of peace. I've lived a worthy life. Not a perfect one, not the life I dreamed of in my youth, but a worthy one. My name is Margaret Thompson. My home is a small 2-story cottage in the suburbs of Boston, which I paid off over nearly 20 years by cutting every possible expense. But it was worth it. Outside the window is a small, well-kept garden with apple trees I planted when the boys were 10. Now those trees bear wonderful fruit. Last year, I made 36 jars of jam from them. I get up slowly, put on my slippers and robe. Passing by the mirror, I pause for a moment. The wrinkles around my eyes have deepened. There's more grey in my hair, but my eyes, they're still the same. Eyes the colour of a stormy sky, Robert used to say, my late husband. He left so early, a heart attack at 32. Left me alone with 2 little sons, Jack and Michael, and a mountain of unpaid bills. I go downstairs to the kitchen and turn on the kettle. My movements are unhurried, measured. Today is a special day, and I intend to savour every minute of it. Yesterday, I spent 6 hours preparing the festive meal: roasted duck with apples, my signature avocado and walnut salad, and an apple pie made from a recipe passed down from mother to daughter for 4 generations. It's 8:30 when I finished the last preparations. I set out crystal glasses, a wedding gift from my mother that I've treasured all these years for special occasions. I spread the lace tablecloth, arranged the plates, clockwise as it should be, 6 place settings, for me, Jack, his wife Emily, Michael, his wife Sarah, and their son, my beloved grandson Dylan. In the centre of the table, a vase of freesias, my favourite flowers. Jack promised to arrive by 11, Michael and his family a little later. Mum will definitely be there, Jack assured me over the phone a week ago. I already ordered the cake. You'll love it. Emily sent a message asking me not to cook anything. They would bring everything we need. But how could I not cook? Welcome guests to an empty table? No, that's not how I was raised. I believed their promises. As always, 10 o'clock in the morning, the phone is silent. I sit in the armchair by the window, flipping through the photo album I ordered especially for today. 30 years of our family's history captured on glossy pages. Here's Jack, a 3-year-old toddler with a scraped knee and a determined look in his eyes. Here's Michael's first day of school. He's holding my hand tightly, afraid to let go. And here, their high school graduation. I'm standing between them, so proud and at the same time exhausted after working 2 hospital shifts. I was a nurse in the intensive care unit, picking up extra shifts at a private clinic on weekends, all to make sure my children never lacked anything, so they could go to clubs, join school trips, and get into good colleges. Mum, you need to think about yourself, they kept telling me as they got older. Take a break, meet someone, live for yourself. But how could I? Motherhood had become the centre of my existence, the core around which my entire life revolved. After Robert's death, I had a few chances to start over. I remember David, a doctor from our hospital, asked me out for several months, but he didn't want to take in 2 teenagers. Margaret, you're wonderful, he said, but I'm not ready to be a father to someone else's kids. And I chose the children. I always chose them. 11:30? Silence. I check my phone. No missed calls. I send Jack a message. Waiting for you, dear. Everything's ready. I look out the window at the driveway. Empty. Noon. Still no one. I start to worry. Did something happen? Maybe an accident on the road. I call Jack. His phone goes to voicemail. I try Michael. Same thing. I call Sarah. She picks up after the fourth ring. Hi, Margaret. Michael's busy right now. He'll call you back later. Sarah, do you remember we're supposed to get together today? It's my birthday. Oh, right, of course. Michael mentioned something. I'll let him know you called. There was clear confusion in her voice. They forgot. Sarah didn't even say, Happy birthday. I hang up, feeling a lump rise in my throat. 1:30. The duck is getting cold. The apple pie has lost its freshness. I turn off the oven, cover the dishes with foil. I try to read a book, but the words blur before my eyes. 2:00. A call from Jack. Mum, I'm sorry, but Michael and I are moving into that apartment you gave us last Christmas. Housewarming, you know. So much to do. Movers, paperwork. It's been a whirlwind. Maybe we can stop by tomorrow? Or next week? I'll call you. He speaks quickly, nervously. In the background, voices, laughter, the sounds of furniture being moved. They're celebrating, having fun. Without me. Of course, dear. I hear my own voice, strangely calm. I understand. Moving is important. I bought that apartment for you a few years ago, setting aside money from every paycheck. Do you remember how you used to dream of living downtown? I'm glad you're finally moving in. Yeah, thanks, Mum. You're not mad, right? I promise next time. No, of course not. Nothing to be upset about. Enjoy your housewarming. Had sicked with the phone still in my hand, looking at the festive table. 30 years of my life were given to these boys. All those years, working 2 jobs after their father died. Denying myself everything so they could have an education, opportunities, a future. And now, silence and empty chairs on my birthday. 3:30 in the afternoon. I open the bottle of wine I'd saved for the celebration. Why not? I pour a glass and take a sip. Dry red with notes of blackberry and oak. Robert knew wines well. I inherited my love of a good Merlot from him. I open Instagram, a habit I've picked up recently. Dylan taught me how to use social media, set up my accounts, showed me how to follow family posts. Grandma, this way you'll always know what we're up to, he said, patiently explaining what stories and DMs are. On the screen, a new post from Jack, a photo. He and Michael in a spacious living room, high ceilings, panoramic windows, new furniture. They're holding champagne glasses, smiling. The caption, housewarming time. Finally, our own place in the heart of the city. 25 likes, comments from friends. Congrats. Looks amazing. Can't wait for the party invite. Not a word about my birthday. I close the app, trying to steady the trembling in my hands. I finish the wine, pour another glass. Images from the past flash before my eyes. Me sitting at Michael's bedside, taking his temperature, applying cold compresses. Seeing Jack off on his first date, helping him choose a tie. Sleepless nights before their big exams. Extra shifts to pay for their tuition. Giving up my own career, travel, relationships. All for them. At that moment, there's a soft knock at the door. I flinch and set the glass aside. Could it be? Have they remembered? Felt a pang of guilt? I open the door, and there stands Dylan, my 16-year-old grandson, Michael's son. In his hands, a small cake with a single candle. Happy birthday, Grandma, he says, wrapping me in a hug. In his eyes, there's warmth and understanding. Something so absent from his fathers and uncles. Dylan has always been different. Thoughtful, observant. Sometimes I think there's more of my blood in him than in his father. I knew they wouldn't come, he says as he walks into the house. They're always like this. I told Dad that today was important for you, but well, you know. I know, I nod, and suddenly tears well up in my eyes. I had held it together until now, but my grandson's kindness breaks the dam. Hey, don't cry. Dylan gently wipes the moisture from my cheeks. We'll celebrate your birthday together. I even got you a present. He pulls a small box wrapped in silver paper from his backpack. Inside is a delicate silver pendant in the shape of a compass. This is so you always find your way home, Dylan explains, and to remind you that no matter where life takes you, I'll be waiting. We sit in the kitchen and I put the kettle on. The teenager glances toward the dining room and the festive table. Delivery. You made all this yourself? It looks amazing. Yes, I spent all of yesterday in the kitchen, I reply, pouring tea into my favorite porcelain cups. And they didn't even call to wish you a happy birthday. His voice carries raw indignation. Jack called. He said they're moving into their new apartment, the one on Park Avenue. The one you bought them? Dylan shakes his head. Unbelievable. They're so proud of that place. Like, they paid for it themselves. But Mum told me you worked extra shifts for 2 years to save up for the down payment. 3 years, I quietly correct him. But that's not important. I just wanted them to have a good home. But they don't even remember who made that possible, Dylan says, wrapping an arm around my shoulders. You know, I hear them talk about you all the time. With love, sure, but like, you'll always be there. Always forgiving, always helping. They take you for granted, Grandma, and that's not fair. That's a parent's fate. I try to smile, but it comes out weak and unconvincing. No, Dylan looks me straight in the eyes. It's wrong. They should value you, not just as a mother, but as a person, with your own dreams, your own wants, your own feelings. You always told me to respect others, to see the person in everyone. So why don't they apply that to you? His words hit the mark. Tears rise again, but this time they're not just from sorrow. They come with a realization. I deserve more. Draws guardian firefight, and my wise grandson has just helped me see it. What would you do if they weren't your sons? Dylan suddenly asks. If they were just acquaintances who treated you like this? I'd probably put them in their place, I say with a tearful smile. I'd remind them that I'm a person too, with feelings that can be hurt. And do it now, Dylan says, handing me the phone. Write to them. They need to know how you feel. I look at the phone screen. My fingers tremble, but my resolve strengthens. Dylan is right. It's time to remind them that I exist not only as a convenient mother, always forgiving, always giving, but as a woman with her own dignity. With shaking hands, I type the message. My life has known both great joys and great losses. Today, I realize that the greatest loss is when your own children forget who made their happiness possible. I won't ask you to come, but know this. Your father, watching from above, is deeply disappointed. As am I. I hit send and set the phone down. My heart is pounding, but inside, a strange calm is growing. Whatever their reaction may be, I spoke the truth, and that is freeing. And now, I turn to my grandson, let's celebrate my day. Will you help me carve the duck? Dylan and I are just finishing dinner when there's a knock at the door. So insistent I jump. My grandson shoots me a questioning look. Sounds like your message landed, he says with a faint smile. Exactly 30 minutes have passed since I sent it. I stand up, smooth my hair, square my shoulders. Strangely, I'm not afraid of this meeting at all. Whatever awaits behind that door, anger, excuses, apologies, I'm ready. When I open the door, I see Jack and Michael holding enormous bouquets of flowers. Their wives and younger children stand behind them, all looking guilty and unsure. Dylan stands just behind me, watching with a subtle, knowing smile. Mum, please forgive us, Jack begins. His usually confident voice trembles. We've been such idiots, Michael adds, handing me a bouquet of white lilies. At least they remember those are my favorite. I look at them in silence. In that moment, my entire life flashes before me. Sleepless nights by hospital beds, sacrificing personal happiness for their well-being. Evenings spent checking homework, fighting off creditors to keep a roof over our heads. All of it passes in an instant. "Come in," I say coolly, stepping aside. They awkwardly step into the living room and take their seats around the table, where the festive meal has grown cold. My daughters-in-law try to lighten the mood, complimenting the decor and the food. The younger grandchildren look around with curiosity. They rarely visit my home. Jack begins explaining how busy they were with the move, how many documents had to be signed, the trouble they had getting the internet set up. "Enough," I interrupt him. My hand clenches a napkin so tightly that my knuckles turn white. 60 years. I've lived 60 years, 30 of which I dedicated to you. When your father died, I was 30, about the age you are now. I could have started a new life, but I chose you. Every time, I chose you. Mom, Michael tries to interject. "No." "Listen to me. That apartment where you're celebrating your housewarming today, that's my night shifts at the hospital, my cancelled trips, my postponed life. Do you know how many marriage proposals I turned down because men didn't want to take on 2 teenage boys? 4. I chose you over my own happiness. And what did I get in return? A forgotten birthday and Instagram photos of your celebration in an apartment bought with my savings without a single mention of me." A heavy silence fills the room. Jack lowers his head. Michael looks like he's been punched. The daughters-in-law glance at each other, unsure what to say. The younger grandchildren have gone quiet. They've never seen their grandmother like this. Only Dylan steps forward and quietly takes my hand, giving me the strength to go on. "And now, all I'll say is," I take a deep breath and continue. "Today, I realized the price of my sacrifice was too high. I lost myself trying to be the perfect mother. I'm not asking you to spend every day with me, but I want you to start seeing me not just as a mother who will always forgive and give, but as a woman with her own dreams and desires." Jack sits with his head in his hands. Tears are streaming down Michael's face. I haven't seen him cry since he was a teenager. "Dylan wished me a happy birthday today," I say, looking at my grandson with gratitude. "He was the only one who remembered that your mother is also a person whose feelings can be hurt." "We didn't mean to hurt you," Jack whispers. "We just got caught up. We forgot." And that's the problem, Jack. You forgot. You forget I exist unless you need something. But remember this, I'm not shutting you out. You'll always be my sons and I'll always love you. But starting today, I'm going to live for myself. Tomorrow, I'm signing up for Italian classes and buying a ticket to Rome, the dream of my life, the one I've postponed for 30 years. And that will be my gift to myself, from a woman who finally remembered her own worth. "Mum, we'll go with you," Michael suddenly says. "All of us. To Rome. That will be our gift to you." "No," I reply firmly. "This journey is one I need to take on my own. But when I come back, we'll see each other more often. On my terms. You'll visit not when it's convenient for you, but when we've agreed. You'll call not just when you need something, but simply to ask how I'm doing. And you will never again take my love and support for granted." Owen smiles and raises his glass. "To Grandma, who taught me that sometimes we need to remind people how important they are to us." Any explosively wife finally breaks the silence. "Margaret, we truly wronged you. I promise this won't happen again. We haven't appreciated all that you do for us." "Thank you, Emily. I believe you're sincere, but trust must be earned through actions, not words." Sarah, Michael's wife, comes over and hugs me. "You're an amazing woman, Margaret. I hope our kids grow up to be more like you than their father." That brings laughter, the first genuine laugh of the evening. Even Michael smiles through his tears. "Well then," I say, looking around at everyone, "since you're all here, let's celebrate my birthday. Who's going to help me reheat the duck?" Jack and Michael leap up at the same time, nearly bumping into each other in the kitchen doorway. Everyone laughs. The tension begins to melt away. The kids start bustling about, warming food, setting extra places, uncorking wine. I sit at the head of the table, watching my family. This isn't the perfect reunion from a romantic movie. The wounds are still fresh, and the trust has been shaken. But it's the start of the dinner. Jack brings in the cake from the car. Huge 3 tiers with "Happy Birthday, Mum" written across the top. We did the order after all. Maybe not everything is lost. As the evening winds down and everyone starts to head home, Dylan lingers. "Are you okay, Grandma?" he asks softly. "More than okay," I reply, hugging him. "Thank you. If it hadn't been for you, I would have stayed silent." "You deserve to be happy," he says seriously. "Don't let anyone convince you otherwise." When everyone leaves, I'm alone again in the quiet of the house. Outside, night has fallen, and in the garden, the fairy lights strung through the apple tree by Michael before he left twinkle gently. "So, you'd have something beautiful to look at from the window, Mom." This day was a turning point, not just for my sons, but for me. Sometimes you need to find the strength to remind not just others, but yourself of your worth. Oh, and sometimes, to truly be heard, you need someone like Dylan, someone who sees you exactly as you are. I take an old dream out of the drawer, a travel guide to Italy, bought 20 years ago. The pages are yellowed. Some of the recommended restaurants have likely closed, but the essence remains unchanged. Rome, the eternal city, is waiting for me. I sit in my armchair and open the book. On the inside cover, there's a note in my handwriting. "One day I'll see all of this with my own eyes. M.M. 1998. 27 years ago. Jack was 10, Michael 8. I had just started working a second job to save for their college tuition. Rome felt like an unreachable dream, but I believed that someday, and now at 60 I'm finally going. Not for the children, not for the grandchildren, for myself. Because I too deserve happiness and the fulfillment of dreams. My phone vibrates, a message from Dylan. "Don't forget to take your compass, Grandma." I smile, clutching the silver pendant to my chest. Sometimes wisdom comes from the most unexpected place. Sometimes it takes a 16-year-old heart to teach a 60-year-old woman how to love herself again. A Roman morning greets me with the sound of church bells and the scent of freshly baked bread from the corner bakery. I sit on the balcony of my rented apartment near Piazza Navona, sipping cappuccino and writing in my journal, another habit I've picked up in recent months. Who would have thought that at 60, my life would change so completely? Since that unforgettable birthday, I've not only learned the basics of Italian and visited Rome, I've decided to stay for 6 months. I started with a 1-month rental, extended it, and now I've been living in this magical city for nearly 5 months. Here, I've made new friends. Eleonora, the owner of a small art gallery on the next street. Marco, a retired art history professor who gives me private tours of Rome's hidden gems. Giovanna, the restaurant owner across the way, who taught me how to cook authentic carbonara. The kids call every week now. They genuinely care about my life, asking about the places I've seen and the people I've met. Jack admitted he admires my courage. Not everyone would dare to pack up and move to another country at your age. Michael is planning to visit with the family for Christmas. Dylan's been obsessed with Rome ever since you started sending pictures. And yesterday, I got asked out on a date. Paolo, a charming 72-year-old Italian widower and former orchestra conductor, offered to show me Venice. At our age, cara mia, what matters isn't how many years we have left, but how we live them, he said, kissing my hand.